Hello, David Phipps-Davis here, and the Panto archives have asked me to answer 5 questions. So here we go with number 1. Do I prefer being goody or baddie? The answer is I don't prefer one of them because I love being both of them. I'm lucky enough to do both every year. At Christmas, I invariably play Dame, someone's mum. And straight after that, I do the Brick Lane musical pantomime where I suppose you could call me resident villain. I've done it 3 years now. Abanazar, the demon in Mother Goose, and King Rat did at the beginning of this year. Yeah, I played Ugly Sister quite a bit years ago. I don't like that as much as doing Dame or solo villain. I love being a double with a comic. I don't like it so much being a double with someone else in a frock. So yeah, so villain or Dame is great. I love both. I don't miss the costume changes when I'm playing villain, though I also wear some flamboyant stuff as villain. Yeah, so both. Number 2, is there a star living or dead who I would like to have worked with? I've given this a lot of thought, and I think probably John Inman. John was one of the first names I ever saw. I saw him as Mother Goose, and he was a very lovable performer. I hear only good stuff about him. I suppose that's a big factor when you want to work with someone. I mean, you might look up to someone and then you hear all bad stuff about them, and you don't want that backstage. But I would have loved to have watched John from the wings. I suppose I wouldn't be Dame if I was working with him, I'd be villain. But yeah, I'm sure I would have learned loads. The tiny snippets on YouTube are so useful to watch. Question number 3, did I have any 2020-21 Panto plans before lockdown? No, it's a bit early for me. I usually get booked to April, May, so just before I'm usually booked. But I did know about Brick Lane musical. We're doing Robin Hood. I'm playing Sheriff of Nottingham. I write and co-direct the show as well, so lockdown enabled me to write the first draft of the script, which was good. We've gone through a few drafts since then and continue to do so. So that's rolling. So fingers crossed, Panto happens, and the Brick Lane musical Panto happens in January. Yes. Question number 4. Any memories of Panto as a child? Yeah, I saw Panto. I've seen a Panto every year since I was 3 years old in 1978. So yeah, I fell in love with it when I was a kid. I remember, though, one of them starting with a prologue from a clown. Presumably it must have been Goldilocks, I can't remember. I was terrified of clowns as a child, so that wasn't so good. But generally, I love Pantos. I saw my first Pantos at the Lewisham Theatre then. It's now called Broadway Theatre Catford. And I saw probably people I didn't know then, or maybe I knew some of them because they were in Heidi High, but people who went on to be huge Panto stars: Paul Shane, Jeffrey Holland, Lorraine Chase, Keith Harris, later Timmy Mallet, Rolf Harris, Dave Lee Travis, a completely unknown Lenny Henry. Yeah, I fell in love with Panto back then. I do remember, even as a kid and not knowing about these things, when I saw John Inman as Mother Goose, spotting the double in the Enchanted Pool, I clocked that it wasn't him going through the pool. Obviously, he was already doing his frock change. So yeah, it didn't put me off though. But that, when I'm directing Panto, I've become very aware as the kids miss nothing, so you really have to make sure there is nothing to miss. Is there anyone I've ever worked in Panto, final question, who was a nightmare? No, I've been quite lucky. Everyone I've worked with has been great. There are a couple of directors I would choose not to work with again. One's dead, so I don't have to choose that. But yeah, no, cast-wise, I don't think I've ever had anyone as a problem. Certainly not celebs. There have been some people do Panto because they're not doing a musical and they think they're slumming it a bit and have very little time for it. They just want to take the money and run, and have very little time for those of us that are Panto specialists. Fine. I'm trying to enjoy everything I do. I've done musicals, and I love them as well. But that's fine. It's not much of a problem. But no, generally, I've not worked with any nightmares at all. So even Bobby Davro, I adore working with. Done 4 Pantos with him, and I would love to do many more. I love working with him, believe it or not. And these are my 5 questions. So thank you very much, and fingers crossed we're all doing it at Christmas. Goodbye.